Hamilton and Verstappen did not need a confirmed scandal for this story to explode. All it took was one Mercedes on pole at Silverstone, one rookie named Kimi Antonelli, and one question the entire paddock suddenly could not ignore. What did Mercedes find? Because the source does not confirm that Hamilton or Verstappen officially reported Mercedes. It does not confirm a proven illegal trick, an FIA penalty, or verified evidence that Mercedes broke the rules. What it does confirm is the bigger trigger, Antonelli's Silverstone pole, Mercedes becoming the focus of attention, and rival teams asking what changed after qualifying. And that is where the danger begins. Silverstone is not a track where weak cars hide. It punishes nervous balance, destroys tires that are not managed properly, and exposes drivers who do not fully trust the car beneath them. So when a rookie puts Mercedes on pole there, the story cannot stay small. Was it pure talent? Was it a perfect setup? Was it tire preparation? Was it a clever legal breakthrough? Or did Mercedes unlock something hidden that forced Formula One's biggest names to look twice? Because if Mercedes were illegal, the FIA could stop it. But if Mercedes found something legal, repeatable, and powerful enough to give Antonelli that kind of confidence, then Hamilton, Verstappen, and every rival driver have a much bigger problem. They cannot protest it away. They have to beat it. A rookie on pole. A Mercedes suddenly alive. Two champions watching a threat they know better than anyone. And the most uncomfortable question in Formula One is no longer whether Mercedes had one perfect lap. It is whether Silverstone was the first warning that Mercedes have found their way back. Subscribe to the channel. Silverstone is where this entire story becomes impossible to dismiss. Because if Antonelli had taken pole at a circuit that hides weakness, rival teams could explain it away. They could say the track suited Mercedes. They could say the weather helped. They could say the tires arrived in the right window for one perfect run, and nothing more. But Silverstone is different. Silverstone is one of the fastest and most honest circuits in Formula One. It punishes nervous cars. It punishes drivers who hesitate. It punishes teams that do not fully understand their own machine. And that is why this pole mattered. Not because one lap proves everything. Because one lap at Silverstone reveals more than most people realize. A Formula One car needs confidence there. The driver has to believe the front will respond when he turns in. He has to believe the rear will stay with him when the speed is high. He has to believe the tires will hold on through the corners that load the car again and again. If that trust is missing, the lap breaks apart. Maybe not in a dramatic spin. Maybe not in a huge mistake. Sometimes it breaks apart in tiny moments. A small lift. A late throttle. A correction on the steering. A line that becomes safer than it should be. And at Silverstone, tiny moments become huge gaps. That is why rival drivers would notice. Hamilton would understand it better than almost anyone. He knows what a confident Mercedes feels like. He knows the difference between a car that gives you permission to attack, and a car that forces you to drive around its problems. Verstappen would understand it too. He has built so much of his dominance on feeling exactly when a car will allow him to push beyond the comfort zone. He knows when a rival machine looks calm in places where it should be fighting. So when Antonelli, a rookie, puts Mercedes on pole at Silverstone, the question becomes sharper. Was he simply extraordinary? Or did the car finally give him something Mercedes have been searching for? That is the tension. Because a veteran can sometimes disguise a difficult car. Experience becomes protection. A champion can feel a slide before it fully appears. He can save a lap before most people realize it was in danger. He can turn a messy car into a respectable result through instinct alone. But a rookie is more revealing. A young driver exposes the truth of the car more quickly. If the balance is nervous, you see hesitation. If the tires are not ready, you see the lap become untidy. If the rear of the car does not feel safe, the commitment disappears. So Antonelli's pole did not only say something about Antonelli. It said something about Mercedes. It suggested the car may have given him the confidence to attack one of the hardest qualifying laps of the year. And that is where the illegal trick narrative becomes so powerful. Because when a car suddenly looks calmer, sharper, and more alive than expected, the paddock starts searching for an explanation. Fans want a secret. Rivals want data. Drivers want to know whether what they saw was talent, setup, tires, or something deeper. But the source does not confirm that Hamilton or Verstappen officially reported Mercedes. It does not confirm a proven illegal device, an FIA penalty, or verified evidence that Mercedes broke the rules. What it confirms is the central event that made the story explode, Antonelli's pole at Silverstone, and Mercedes becoming the focus of attention after qualifying. That distinction matters. Because Formula One stories can grow faster than the evidence behind them. One strong lap becomes a rumor. One rumor becomes a theory. One theory becomes a headline. And suddenly, the entire conversation is no longer about the lap itself, but about what people think the lap might mean. That is how pressure spreads. Inside rival teams, nobody waits for social media to decide the story. Engineers go straight to the details. Where did the Mercedes gain time? Did it look stronger in high-speed corners? Did it handle the tires better? Did Antonelli have to fight the car, or did the car look like it was working with him? That last part is crucial. Because Formula One cars do not just go fast because they have power. They go fast when the driver can use the performance. A car can have downforce, but if that downforce arrives unpredictably, the driver cannot fully trust it. A car can have grip, but if the grip disappears suddenly, the driver holds back. A car can be quick in theory, but if it makes the driver nervous, the stopwatch never sees its full potential. So the real question after Antonelli's pole is not just, how fast was Mercedes? It is, how usable was the speed? Usable speed is the hidden weapon. It means the driver does not have to guess. It means he can attack the corner with confidence. It means the tires are working in a way he can feel. It means the car gives clear answers instead of surprises. And if Mercedes found more usable speed, that would explain why the paddock reacted so strongly. Not because it proves anything illegal. Because it suggests Mercedes may have found direction. Direction is one of the most powerful things in Formula One. A team with direction can build. A team with direction can develop. A team with direction can take one good weekend and ask how to make it happen again. A team without direction is trapped. It may be fast one day and confused the next. It may celebrate a strong qualifying, then spend the race wondering where the pace went. It may bring upgrades that help one problem but create another. That kind of uncertainty has been one of the biggest questions around Mercedes. Can they make the car work consistently? Can they stop relying on narrow windows? Can they give their drivers a car they can trust, instead of a car they have to negotiate with? Antonelli's pole at Silverstone did not answer all of that. But it created a clue. And in Formula One, a clue is enough to make rivals nervous. Because Mercedes are not a team that ignores clues. If they find something real, they chase it. They test it. They bring it back to the factory. They ask whether it can become a platform for the next race, the next upgrade, the next phase of the season. That is what Hamilton and Verstappen would understand immediately. Hamilton understands the history of Mercedes better than anyone on the grid. He knows that when this team finds confidence, the entire mood changes. The meetings become clearer. The car development becomes sharper. The belief returns. Verstappen understands the threat from the other side. He knows that a recovering Mercedes is not just another car in the mirrors. It is another strategic problem, another qualifying threat, another team that can take points, split races, and force everyone else to react. That is why both names carry so much weight in this story. They represent the past and present standards of Formula One. And if a Mercedes driven by Antonelli can make both of those worlds look twice, the moment becomes bigger than a qualifying result. It becomes a warning. Because a young driver gaining confidence inside an improving Mercedes is not a small storyline. It is the kind of combination that can grow very quickly. A rookie with speed is exciting. A rookie with speed, confidence, and a car that starts to make sense is dangerous. That is the version rivals do not want to face. Because then the question is no longer whether Antonelli can deliver one lap. The question becomes whether Mercedes can turn that lap into a pattern. And patterns are what change Formula One. Not single moments. Patterns. The same car looking stable again. The same driver trusting it again. The same team finding time in the same kinds of corners again. The same rivals asking the same uncomfortable questions again. That is how suspicion becomes respect. At first, people say it was luck. Then they say it was track-specific. Then they say the conditions helped. Then it happens again, and the excuses start to sound weaker. That is what every rival fears after Silverstone. Not that Mercedes have already proven they are back, but that they may have found the first real step. And the first real step is often the hardest one. Once a team knows where to go, everything changes. The driver feedback becomes more valuable. The factory becomes more focused. The upgrades stop feeling random. The team starts building from a foundation instead of chasing problems in circles. That is why the illegal trick headline is so tempting. It gives the story a simple villain and a simple solution. But the deeper truth may be more uncomfortable. Maybe Mercedes did not need an illegal trick. Maybe they found a legal way to make the car work better. Maybe they found a setup direction that gave Antonelli trust. Maybe they found a tire preparation method that made the lap come alive at exactly the right moment. Maybe they found the first piece of a new identity. And if that is true, then rivals cannot solve it with anger. They have to solve it with performance. That is the difference. A scandal can be investigated. A breakthrough has to be chased. And if Silverstone was the beginning of a Mercedes breakthrough, then Hamilton, Verstappen, and the rest of the grid know exactly what comes next. Every Mercedes lap gets studied. Every Antonelli result gets measured differently. Every strong session becomes part of a bigger question. Is this still a surprise? Or is this becoming real? That is why this first block matters so much. It is not about declaring Mercedes guilty. The source does not support that. It is about understanding why Antonelli's pole created such an explosive reaction in the first place. A rookie at Silverstone. A Mercedes suddenly looking alive. Two champions connected to a story of suspicion and pressure. A paddock searching for the answer before the next race makes the question even bigger. And somewhere behind all of it, the same fear keeps growing. What if Mercedes have not been caught doing something wrong? What if they have finally started doing something right? But then comes the part that makes rival drivers truly uncomfortable. Because anger in Formula One is rarely just about emotion. It is usually about fear. Not fear in the normal sense. Hamilton and Verstappen are not afraid of a fast lap. They have built their careers around pressure, danger, and impossible moments. They know what it means to fight at the front when the whole world is watching. But Formula One drivers fear one thing more than almost anything else. A rival advantage they cannot explain. That is where the Mercedes story becomes sharper. Because if Antonelli's pole had an obvious explanation, the paddock could move on. If Mercedes had simply gained time on the straights, everyone would know where to look. If it was only the weather, the threat would feel temporary. If it was just one perfect tire window, rival teams could call it a one-off and sleep more easily. But when the performance looks connected to confidence, balance, and trust, the explanation becomes harder. And harder explanations create louder reactions. That is why a driver like Verstappen would take the Mercedes threat seriously. He understands how quickly a car can become dangerous once the driver trusts it. He knows that domination does not begin with winning every race. It begins with control. A car that responds the same way. A team that understands the data. A driver who can push without second-guessing the machine beneath him. And Hamilton would understand the other side even more deeply. Because he has lived inside Mercedes when the machine made sense. He knows what that team can become when the garage, the factory, and the driver all believe in the same direction. He knows that Mercedes do not need chaos to become frightening. They become frightening when they become calm. That is the hidden warning inside Antonelli's pole. Mercedes may have looked calm. Not dominant. Not unbeatable. Calm. And in Formula One, calm can be more threatening than noise. A noisy team celebrates one result and loses the thread. A calm team takes one result, studies it, protects the lesson, and builds the next step. That is how progress begins to compound. This is why the illegal trick narrative spreads so easily. Because when a team suddenly looks calm after months or years of uncertainty, people search for a shortcut. They ask what changed. They ask who found it. They ask whether the improvement came from a legal discovery, a clever interpretation, or something that should not be allowed. But again, the source does not confirm that Hamilton or Verstappen reported Mercedes for an illegal trick. It does not confirm proof of cheating. It confirms the attention around Antonelli's Silverstone pole and the wider sense that Mercedes became a major focus after qualifying.